Welcome back to Code Your English, where we dive deep into ideas that not only sharpen your language skills, but also inspire meaningful personal growth. Today, I want to explore something both simple and profound: kindness. But before you roll your eyes and think, sure, kindness, nothing new here, let me invite you to look a little closer. Kindness isn't just a nice-to-have trait or a polite social habit. It's a powerful, transformative force that shapes not only how we relate to others, but also how we understand ourselves. In fact, it might be one of the most underrated tools for personal development and emotional well-being. Have you ever wondered why, when you give, whether it's your time, your attention, or a helping hand, you often end up feeling better than before? That warm, almost glowing sensation that follows an act of kindness isn't just in your head. There's a fascinating psychology behind it, and today, we're going to unpack that together. We'll explore how helping others can actually help you more than you might expect. We'll look at kindness through multiple lenses: scientific, emotional, and even cultural, so that you can deepen your understanding and, hopefully, find your own motivation to be kind in everyday life. Now, kindness might sound like a straightforward concept, but it's actually quite layered. On the surface, it's about generosity and empathy, but underneath, it interacts with our internal dialogue, our limiting beliefs, and even the way our brains are wired. This episode will gently challenge you to reflect on your own experiences and behaviors. When was the last time you truly listened to your inner voice? Was it encouraging or critical? How much of your daily actions are driven by conscious intention, and how much are simply habits running on autopilot? These questions aren't just philosophical. They connect directly to how kindness influences your mental landscape. We'll also explore kindness's role in building resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, and why acts of generosity can foster emotional strength, even when life feels challenging. But it's not always easy. Sometimes kindness can feel risky or exhausting, especially in fast-paced, stressful environments. So, we'll talk about how to practice kindness mindfully, respecting your own limits while still reaching out to others. By the end of this episode, my hope is that you'll see kindness not as a chore or a simple moral expectation, but as a dynamic, enriching practice that nurtures both the giver and the receiver. So, get comfortable, maybe grab a cup of tea, and let's dive into the psychology of kindness. Because when we help others, we help ourselves more than we often realize. Defining kindness beyond surface level. When we hear the word kindness, what usually comes to mind? Most of us probably think of simple, everyday gestures: a smile to a stranger, holding the door open, or saying thank you. And while those are certainly examples of kindness, they only scratch the surface. Kindness is much more than polite manners or social expectations. It's a rich and complex human experience that touches the core of how we connect with others and ourselves. At its heart, kindness involves empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. But empathy is not just about feeling sorry for someone or reacting to their pain. It's a deeper, active process that requires stepping into another's shoes and truly seeing the world from their perspective. This kind of emotional attunement can be challenging because it asks us to momentarily set aside our own experiences and judgments. Yet, it's precisely this openness that makes kindness so transformative. Closely related to empathy is compassion. While empathy allows us to feel what another person feels, compassion moves us a step further. It motivates us to alleviate suffering or support well-being. Compassion implies an intentional choice to act with care and concern. This is where kindness becomes more than an internal feeling. it turns into external action. However, not every act of kindness is born from compassion alone. Sometimes people help others out of obligation, social pressure, or even to receive something in return. This kind of giving is often called transactional help, and it's quite different from altruism, which is helping purely for the benefit of others without expecting anything back. Understanding these distinctions can be eye-opening because it challenges us to examine our own motivations. When was the last time you helped someone? Was it because you genuinely wanted to support them? Or was there an expectation or benefit tied to your action? Reflecting on this question helps us become more aware of our internal dialogue and the cognitive patterns that shape our behavior. It's also important to recognize that kindness looks different across cultures. What is considered a kind act in one society may not be seen the same way elsewhere. For example, in many Western cultures, kindness often involves verbal encouragement or individual acts of generosity. In contrast, some East Asian cultures emphasize collective harmony and indirect expressions of kindness, such as maintaining social roles or offering subtle support without drawing attention. Even gestures like eye contact or physical touch can carry different meanings. This cultural variation reminds us that kindness is not a one-size-fits-all concept, but a fluid, dynamic practice shaped by social norms and values. To bring this idea to life, consider a famous story from history, the story of Oskar Schindler. During World War II, Schindler risked everything to save the lives of over 1,000 Jewish refugees by employing them in his factories. His kindness was not a fleeting act, but a courageous commitment that went far beyond social expectations. This example shows us how kindness can be a form of resistance, resilience, and profound moral courage. It transcends simple gestures and becomes a life-changing force. Another everyday example comes from the practice of random acts of kindness. You might have heard this phrase, which encourages people to do unexpected good deeds without any particular reason. These acts can range from paying for a stranger's coffee to leaving a positive note for a coworker. While small, these moments build a ripple effect that can change the emotional climate of a community or even the day of an individual. They demonstrate how kindness, when done freely and without strings attached, holds remarkable power. By exploring kindness beyond surface-level definitions, we open the door to understanding its true essence, a profound interplay between feeling and action, self and other, intention and impact. Kindness is not merely a box to check on a social to-do list. It's a deliberate, often challenging practice that requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to connect deeply. So, as you reflect on kindness today, try to move past the familiar and comfortable ideas of it being just nice behavior. Instead, think about how kindness weaves through your life, how it shapes your relationships, influences your internal dialogue, and even transforms your understanding of yourself. Recognizing the many layers of kindness can inspire you to cultivate it in richer, more authentic ways, ultimately enriching both your personal and professional worlds. The science behind kindness, psychological benefits. When we talk about kindness, it's tempting to think of it purely as a moral or social value, something we do because it's right, or because it makes others feel good. But kindness is much more than just a social nicety. Over the past few decades, scientific research has uncovered some truly fascinating insights into how kindness directly benefits our own mental health, resilience, and overall well-being. In fact, the act of giving and helping others triggers powerful biological and psychological responses that can improve the way we feel, think, and even how our brains function. One of the most well-known effects of kindness is something called the helper's high. Have you ever noticed that after you've done something kind for someone else, whether it's volunteering, lending an ear, or simply helping a friend, you feel a sense of warmth, satisfaction, or even a kind of joyful energy? That feeling isn't just in your imagination. When we perform acts of kindness, our brain releases a cocktail of feel-good chemicals, including endorphins, which are natural painkillers, and dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to pleasure and reward. This chemical release creates a kind of natural high, similar to what runners experience after a long run, often called the runner's high. It's as if kindness itself is a gentle but powerful mood booster. Another crucial player in this process is oxytocin, sometimes called the love hormone or bonding hormone. Oxytocin is released during moments of social connection, when we hug someone, express trust, or engage in caring behaviors. Kindness stimulates oxytocin production, which helps reduce stress and lower blood pressure. In a way, oxytocin acts like a calming balm, soothing the nervous system and making us feel more connected and safe. This is why acts of kindness often foster not just happiness, but also a deep sense of belonging. Beyond these immediate chemical reactions, kindness has even more profound effects on the brain's structure and function. Thanks to the concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to change and adapt throughout life, regularly practicing kindness can actually rewire our neural pathways. Imagine your brain like a network of roads. The more you travel a certain path, the clearer and smoother that road becomes. Kindness strengthens the roads related to empathy, compassion, and positive thinking, making it easier for those qualities to become habits. Just like exercising muscles builds physical strength, exercising kindness builds emotional and psychological resilience. Over time, this means we become better equipped to handle stress, setbacks, and challenges. Studies in positive psychology, a field dedicated to understanding what makes life meaningful and fulfilling, consistently show that people who engage in kind behaviors report higher levels of life satisfaction and lower levels of anxiety and depression. It's not just that kindness makes us feel good in the moment, it also contributes to a more resilient mindset, one that can bounce back from difficulties with greater ease. When we focus on helping others, we shift attention away from our own worries and limiting beliefs, breaking negative cognitive patterns that might otherwise trap us in cycles of self-doubt or fear. Moreover, kindness encourages social connections, which are essential for mental health. Humans are inherently social creatures, and feeling connected to others provides emotional support that helps us navigate life's ups and downs. When we act kindly, we strengthen these bonds, creating a positive feedback loop. The more kindness we give, the stronger our relationships become, and the more support we receive in return. This social support is a key ingredient in emotional resilience and overall well-being. Of course, the science behind kindness doesn't mean that it's always easy, or that we should give until we're drained. Like any powerful tool, kindness works best when practiced mindfully and with balance. But knowing that kindness activates real biological and psychological processes can help us see it not as a sacrifice, but as a smart, natural way to nurture ourselves. So next time you find yourself hesitating to reach out or help someone, remember this: kindness is more than just a kind gesture. It's a kind of internal exercise that strengthens your mind and heart, rewiring your brain for happiness and resilience. It's like giving your soul a gentle but effective workout, one act at a time. How helping others transforms internal dialogue. Have you ever paused to listen to your inner voice? That quiet, constant stream of thoughts running through your mind. The internal dialogue that shapes how you see yourself and the world around you? For many of us, This inner voice can be both a friend and a critic. Sometimes it encourages and comforts us, but too often it whispers doubts, magnifies fears, or traps us in cycles of negativity. What if I told you that kindness, especially acts of helping others, can actually transform that internal dialogue and help us cultivate a gentler, more supportive relationship with ourselves? Our internal dialogue, or self-talk, is essentially the conversation we have with ourselves. It influences everything: how we respond to challenges, how confident we feel, and even how resilient we become. When this dialogue is dominated by harsh self-criticism or limiting beliefs, thought patterns that say, "I'm not good enough," "I'll never succeed," or "I don't deserve happiness," it creates a toxic environment within our minds. These negative cognitive patterns can hold us back, increasing stress and reducing our overall well-being. Kindness, however, acts like a kind of mental balm. When we extend kindness to others, it often encourages us to reflect kindness inward as well. There's a fascinating feedback loop here. By helping someone else, we start to notice and challenge the harshness of our own internal voice. Imagine that your self-talk is a radio station. When you're caught in negativity, the station is playing a static-filled, gloomy tune. Acts of kindness help you switch to a different channel, one filled with warmth, hope, and understanding. But how does this transformation happen? One way is that kindness broadens our perspective. When we focus on another person's needs or struggles, we step outside our own worries and limiting beliefs. This shift helps us realize that everyone has challenges and imperfections, that we are not alone in our experiences. Recognizing this shared humanity softens our inner critic and opens space for compassion toward ourselves. Suddenly, those negative beliefs lose some of their power, because we see them not as absolute truths, but as just one part of a bigger picture. Furthermore, kindness invites us to engage with more positive cognitive patterns. For example, after offering help or support, many people experience a boost in self-esteem and purpose. This uplift creates new, positive thoughts. "I'm capable of making a difference," or "I have something valuable to offer." Repeating these thoughts helps overwrite the limiting beliefs that previously dominated the internal dialogue. It's like gradually rewriting the script of your inner conversation, replacing fear and doubt with encouragement and possibility. Think of kindness as a mirror that reflects not only how we treat others, but also how we treat ourselves. When we act kindly outwardly, we begin to internalize that kindness. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. Rather, it's about recognizing our worth and treating ourselves with the same care and understanding we offer to others. This practice is sometimes called self-compassion, and it has been shown to reduce anxiety, improve emotional resilience, and even enhance motivation. Here's a reflective question to ponder. When was the last time you truly listened to your inner voice and noticed whether it was kind or critical? Were you patient with yourself, or did you jump to judgment? Being aware of this internal dialogue is the first step toward change. From there, kindness becomes a powerful tool to gently challenge those negative voices, offering instead a message of hope and encouragement. The transformation of internal dialogue through kindness is not instantaneous. It takes time, practice, and patience. But the more we engage in kind acts, the more we reinforce healthier, more positive ways of thinking. It's a subtle but profound shift, like planting seeds in a garden. Each act of kindness waters those seeds, helping them grow into stronger, more resilient plants. Over time, your inner garden becomes a place of support and growth rather than criticism and doubt. So, the next time you extend kindness to someone, whether a friend, a colleague, or even a stranger, take a moment to notice how it affects your inner voice. Does it soften? Does it encourage? Can you feel your own self-talk becoming a little more compassionate? By paying attention to these changes, you invite kindness not only into your actions, but into your very thoughts, transforming how you experience yourself and the world around you. Kindness as a catalyst for personal resilience and growth. Resilience is often described as the ability to bounce back from adversity, to recover from setbacks with strength and determination. But resilience isn't just something we're born with. It's a quality that can be nurtured and developed over time. And one of the most powerful ways to build emotional resilience is through kindness, specifically through helping others and adopting a generous, outward-focused approach to life. At first glance, this might seem counterintuitive. After all, when we're struggling, the natural instinct is often to protect ourselves, to retreat inward, conserve energy, and focus solely on our own needs. But this inward focus, while understandable, can sometimes limit our growth and make us feel even more isolated. Kindness, on the other hand, opens us up, connects us to others, and helps us develop adaptability and emotional strength. When we extend kindness, especially during difficult times, we engage in an act of courage. It requires us to step outside our immediate worries and anxieties and consider the needs of someone else. This outward focus can shift our perspective, reminding us that life is interconnected and that we're not alone in our struggles. Helping others encourages empathy and compassion, both of which are essential components of emotional intelligence, a key factor in resilience. By practicing kindness, we learn to regulate our own emotions better and respond to stress with greater flexibility and calm. Contrast this with selfish coping strategies, which tend to revolve around avoidance, denial, or self-centered behaviors. For example, when faced with stress or conflict, some might choose to shut down emotionally, withdraw from social interactions, or react defensively. While these responses might offer short-term relief, they often increase feelings of loneliness and helplessness. In contrast, kindness invites us to engage, communicate, and build bridges, even in challenging circumstances. It nurtures trust and cooperation, which are vital for overcoming adversity. To bring this idea into sharper focus, let's consider a realistic workplace scenario. Imagine a team facing a major project deadline, with tensions running high. One team member, feeling overwhelmed, snaps at a colleague, sparking conflict. In many workplaces, this situation might escalate, breeding resentment and division. But in a team where kindness is valued, another colleague might step in with empathy rather than judgment. Instead of responding with anger, this person might say something like, "I can see you're under a lot of pressure. Is there anything I can do to help?" This simple act of kindness diffuses the tension and opens the door for collaboration. By choosing kindness in this moment, the team member not only helps resolve the immediate conflict, but also strengthens the group's emotional resilience. The team learns that challenges can be faced together, with understanding and support rather than division. This creates a more adaptable, positive work environment where people feel safe to express concerns and seek help. It's a clear example of how kindness builds emotional strength, not by avoiding difficulties, but by facing them with generosity and care. In personal life, this same principle applies. Acts of kindness, whether big or small, contribute to a sense of purpose and meaning, which psychologists identify as crucial for resilience. When we feel that our actions have a positive impact on others, it reinforces our own sense of worth and capability. This helps us recover more quickly from setbacks because we have a reason to keep going, a sense that we are part of something larger than ourselves. Of course, building resilience through kindness doesn't mean ignoring our own needs or pretending that difficulties don't hurt. It means acknowledging our feelings while choosing to respond in a way that fosters connection and growth. This balanced approach is key. Resilience is not about being tough or invulnerable. It's about being flexible, compassionate, and willing to reach out, even when it's hard. In the end, kindness becomes a catalyst, a spark that ignites personal growth and emotional strength. It transforms challenges into opportunities for learning and connection. So, whether you're facing stress at work, navigating personal struggles, or simply trying to grow as a person, remember that kindness is not just a gift to others. It's a powerful tool to build your own resilience and adaptability. Navigating challenges. When kindness feels difficult or risky. Kindness, as inspiring and transformative as it can be, is not always easy or risk-free. In fact, there are many moments when practicing kindness feels complicated, even daunting. It's important to acknowledge these challenges because they're part of the real experience. Kindness is not about blindly giving or constantly sacrificing ourselves. Sometimes, being kind involves navigating a delicate balance between generosity and self-preservation. One of the most common barriers people face when trying to be kind is burnout. Especially in today's fast-paced, demanding world, it's easy to feel drained, emotionally, physically, and mentally. Constantly giving your time and energy to others without taking care of your own needs can lead to exhaustion and resentment. Burnout is not a failure of kindness. It's a signal that our boundaries have been stretched too thin. This is why self-care isn't just a luxury. It's essential. Mindful kindness means recognizing when to pause and recharge, so that our generosity is sustainable, not self-destructive. Skepticism is another hurdle. Sometimes people question the motives behind acts of kindness, both in themselves and others. Are they being kind because they want something in return? Is this just superficial politeness or genuine care? These doubts can make kindness feel risky or even naive. While it's healthy to be discerning, it's also helpful to remember that kindness does not have to be perfect or purely altruistic to be valuable. Even small, imperfect acts can create positive ripples. Trusting kindness as a genuine practice, rather than a calculated exchange, requires courage and a willingness to be vulnerable. Cultural misunderstandings can also complicate kindness. What one culture sees as a generous act might be interpreted differently elsewhere, sometimes even as intrusive or disrespectful. For example, in some cultures, direct offers of help may be welcomed, while in others, they might be seen as implying weakness or dependence. Navigating these differences takes sensitivity and awareness. It means paying attention to social cues and, when possible, asking gently how best to support someone. Mindful kindness respects the other person's feelings and boundaries rather than imposing help that might not be wanted or appropriate. Speaking of boundaries, this is a crucial concept when kindness feels difficult or risky. Boundaries protect our well-being and prevent relationships from becoming codependent or unbalanced. Codependency occurs when one person's kindness becomes a way of avoiding their own needs, or when the recipient becomes overly reliant on that kindness to the point of losing autonomy. This dynamic can be harmful for both parties. Healthy kindness respects limits. It means offering help without losing sight of your own limits and encouraging others to take responsibility for themselves. So how do we balance generosity with self-care? It starts with self-awareness. Taking time to check in with yourself. How do you feel before and after acts of kindness? Are you motivated by genuine care or by guilt or obligation? Do you feel energized or drained? Answering these questions honestly helps us set healthy boundaries. It's okay to say no or not right now when we need to. True kindness includes kindness toward ourselves. Here's a question for you to reflect on. How do you balance generosity with self-care? What signs tell you it's time to step back and recharge? And when you do give, how do you make sure it's coming from a place of strength rather than depletion? These are important considerations because sustainable kindness is a practice of balance, not sacrifice. Remember, kindness is not about perfection. It's about intention, awareness, and respect, both for others and for ourselves. When we face the challenges of kindness honestly, we cultivate a more grounded, mindful approach. This approach allows kindness to flourish without causing harm or burnout, turning it into a powerful and lasting force for good in our lives. So, as you move forward, I encourage you to embrace kindness with both an open heart and clear boundaries. Recognize the challenges, honor your limits, and approach generosity with wisdom and compassion, because that's how kindness truly thrives. Kindness in everyday life. Small acts. Big impact. When we think about kindness, it's easy to imagine grand gestures, volunteering for important causes, donating to charities, or stepping in to help in moments of crisis. And yes, those acts are powerful and necessary. But kindness is equally, if not more, present in the small, everyday habits that quietly shape our lives and the lives of those around us. Smiling at a stranger, truly listening when a colleague shares their thoughts, holding the door open, offering a genuine compliment. These simple actions may seem insignificant on their own, but over time, they accumulate into meaningful transformation. These small acts are like tiny drops of water that, when gathered together, fill an ocean of kindness. They ripple outward, creating positive connections and fostering a sense of community. What makes them so powerful is that they are accessible to everyone, regardless of background or circumstance. You don't need to wait for a special occasion or a big event to practice kindness. It can be woven into the fabric of your daily routine. Consider the culture of coffee shops, for example. In many parts of the world, the ritual of sharing a cup of coffee is more than just enjoying a beverage. It's about creating space for connection. Baristas who greet customers with warmth, customers who thank the staff sincerely, and the gentle nods exchanged between regulars all contribute to an atmosphere of kindness and respect. This simple daily habit builds small but meaningful moments of human connection, helping people feel seen and valued in the midst of busy, sometimes impersonal, city life. Community volunteering offers another vivid example of kindness in action. Whether it's helping at a local food bank, cleaning up a neighborhood park, or mentoring young people, volunteering connects us to something larger than ourselves. These experiences remind us that kindness is not just about individual acts, it's about collective effort and shared responsibility. Volunteering nurtures empathy and compassion by putting us face to face with diverse stories and challenges. It broadens our understanding and invites us to contribute our unique strengths to improve the world around us. In today's digital age, kindness also takes on new forms. Digital kindness, sending a thoughtful message, sharing encouraging words on social media, or offering support in online communities, has become an important part of how we connect. Although it might lack the physical presence of in-person interactions, digital kindness can cross distances and break down barriers. It reminds us that even in virtual spaces, empathy and generosity are essential. But here's the most exciting part. Kindness doesn't have to be complicated or perfect. In fact, it thrives on experimentation. I invite you to ask yourself, what's one small act of kindness I can try today? Maybe it's smiling more often during your commute, actively listening without interrupting in your next conversation, or sending a quick message of appreciation to someone you care about. Small steps like these can transform not only someone else's day, but also your own internal experience, building that positive feedback loop of kindness we talked about earlier. It's important to remember that kindness is not a performance or a checklist. It's a genuine intention expressed in everyday moments. When we approach it with openness and curiosity, we give ourselves permission to learn and grow without pressure. Sometimes, a small act of kindness might go unnoticed or even be misunderstood, but that doesn't diminish its value. The very practice of being kind enriches us internally, shaping our attitudes and emotional resilience. So, as you go about your day, pay attention to the small opportunities around you. Notice how a kind word can brighten a stranger's face, or how a patient gesture can ease someone's stress. These small moments weave together into a tapestry of kindness, creating a more compassionate and connected world, one act at a time. Self-reflection and integration. Applying the psychology of kindness. As we begin to bring this conversation to a close, I want to invite you to take a moment for yourself. A pause, a breath, and a gentle turning inward. After exploring the psychology of kindness, from its profound effects on our brains and emotions to its power to transform our internal dialogue and build resilience, it's time to reflect on how we can consciously integrate these insights into our daily lives. This moment is about applying kindness not only outwardly, but inwardly, through mindful intention and self-awareness. Close your eyes if you're comfortable, or simply soften your gaze. Take a slow, deep breath in, and let it out slowly. Notice how it feels to simply be present here and now, in this moment. This simple act of mindfulness, the art of paying attention intentionally, is a foundational step toward cultivating kindness, both toward others and ourselves. Now, I'd like you to bring to mind a recent situation where you had the opportunity to be kind. It could be a small interaction, a gesture, or even a kind thought toward someone else, or perhaps even toward yourself. As you recall that moment, try to notice the feelings and thoughts that arose within you. Did you feel hesitation, warmth, joy, or perhaps something more complicated? There's no right or wrong answer here, just your honest experience. Next, reflect on your internal dialogue during that moment. What was your inner voice saying? Was it supportive, encouraging, or critical? Sometimes our minds can be a mix of voices, some kind and others less so. Recognizing these voices is a crucial part of integrating kindness into our psychological landscape. Now, gently ask yourself, how conscious was I of my intention to be kind in that moment? Did I act from a place of genuine care and empathy, or was I driven by obligation, expectation, or the desire for approval? Becoming aware of our motivations helps us align our actions with our values, making kindness more authentic and fulfilling. I also want you to consider this. How do I currently balance kindness toward others with kindness toward myself? Are there areas where I tend to give more outwardly than inwardly, or vice versa? Sometimes we can be so focused on helping others that we neglect our own needs, or we might be too self-critical to extend genuine kindness inward. Mindfulness invites us to notice these patterns without judgment. Here's another question to ponder. When was the last time I listened carefully to my inner voice, really listened, and responded with compassion rather than criticism? This practice of self-compassion is deeply connected to the psychology of kindness. It's the reminder that we deserve the same understanding and patience that we offer to others. As you breathe in and out, imagine kindness as a thread woven through the fabric of your daily life, connecting moments, thoughts, and actions into a tapestry of meaning and care. How might you weave that thread more intentionally? What small changes could you make to nurture kindness in yourself and in your relationships? Before we finish, I encourage you to set a simple, mindful intention. Perhaps to notice one moment each day where you can practice kindness, whether by smiling, listening deeply, offering help, or simply being patient with yourself. Notice how these moments shape your mood, your thoughts, and your sense of connection. Remember, kindness is not a destination but a journey, a continual process of learning, practicing, and growing. Each step you take, no matter how small, contributes to your own well-being and the well-being of those around you. So, as you open your eyes and return to the world, carry with you this gentle awareness. Kindness begins with conscious intention. It thrives in mindfulness, and it transforms both the giver and the receiver in ways that ripple far beyond what we can see. Now, I want to leave you with a few final reflections, not as a summary in the usual sense, but as a gentle invitation to carry forward what we've explored together. Kindness, as we've seen, is far more than a simple act or polite gesture. It is a powerful force that shapes our minds, emotions, and relationships in profound and lasting ways. It rewires our brains, softens our internal dialogue, and strengthens our resilience when life's challenges arise. But beyond the science and the theory, kindness is ultimately a lived experience, a practice that unfolds moment by moment in our daily lives. It is present when we choose to listen deeply, offer a helping hand, or simply pause to acknowledge someone's presence. These everyday expressions, small yet significant, accumulate to create a ripple effect that touches not only others, but ourselves as well. Through kindness, we find connection, meaning, and a renewed sense of purpose. What I hope you take away from this episode is not just knowledge, but curiosity and motivation. Curiosity about how kindness works within you, how it affects your thoughts and feelings, and how it might enrich your interactions with others. Motivation to experiment with kindness in ways that feel authentic and sustainable to you. Whether that means smiling at a stranger, volunteering your time, or practicing self-compassion during difficult moments. Kindness is not a destination to reach, but a journey to embrace. It invites us to grow with patience and openness, learning from both our successes and our setbacks. And it reminds us that every act of kindness, no matter how small, holds the potential for transformation, not only for the person who receives it, but for the person who gives it as well. So, as you move forward, I encourage you to keep kindness alive in your daily life. Notice the small opportunities to make a difference, and remember to extend kindness inward, toward yourself, with the same grace and understanding you offer others. Notice how this practice influences your mindset, your resilience, and your relationships. Thank you for sharing this time with me here on Code Your English. It's a privilege to walk alongside you on this path of personal growth and meaningful connection. If today's episode has sparked something in you, whether it's a new idea, a feeling, or a question, I invite you to carry that spark with you. Let it inspire you to continue exploring kindness and its rich, transformative power. Until next time, take care of yourself, be kind to those around you, and remember, kindness is a gift that keeps on giving, to others and to ourselves. It's one of the simplest yet most profound ways we can code our lives for greater joy, connection, and well-being.